Hey everyone out there in internet land, it's Regular Jim again, coming at you with another action figure unboxing video. This one coming a bit sooner than I anticipated. I had not intended to buy this figure right away, but I recently learned that it may become more difficult in the future to find these figures, so I decided to pull the trigger today after all. As you can see, this is one of the NECA Godzilla action figures. As you can see, this is Godzilla King of the Monsters, the film that opened last year. This is the American version of Godzilla. In my opinion, it's one of the better looking Godzillas, even though that might be a bit blasphemous. I just really dig the look of this guy, and having him in action figure form will be very cool. So last month when I was looking for other action figures, I would see these NECA Godzilla figures everywhere. Like, I would go to Target, I would see an entire shelf of these, dozens and dozens of these figures, and they were about $25, and I would look at them and I would say, I want one, but not today. And I would come back and they'd still be there, and I'd pick one up and I'd say, okay, not today. And a friend of mine told me the other day that NECA had lost the Godzilla rights and that these figures might become harder to find in the future. So today I went out and said, okay, I'm going to buy it today, get it done. So I got to Target, and they were gone. The entire wall of them, where I swear 2 days ago they were there, were gone, replaced by Funko Pops. And I said, oh dear, my Godzilla figure. So fortunately, there's a pretty good local toy store that also carries these sorts of figures. So I ran over there and got lucky, and they had one copy of the Godzilla figure that I wanted. I had to pay $3 more than I probably would have paid at Target, but that's not so bad, especially now that these figures may not be as common as they used to be. So let's get into what this figure is. So as you can see, this box here has a nice big picture of Godzuki here on the cover. Tells you what movie it's from specifically. Of course, who it is, Godzilla down here. It's Monsterverse because it's the American Godzilla. The box is very cool. It's very big. So you got this big picture of the movie. I think this is a movie promo shot. It's not a poster or anything. But on the side here, it gives you a little backstory about Godzilla in this universe. Don't really like this reuse of the picture here. It's kind of lazy, to be honest. Here on the side, it tells you all the specs on this figure. It's 12 inches from head to tail, which is actually kind of impressive. It's got a articulated jaw, and in fact it has 25 points of articulation, which is actually a lot of articulation for a Godzilla figure. I can't wait to get this open and just see how movable it actually is. And on the back we get a nice big picture of the toy itself, as well as telling us that there's a Rodan, a Mothra, and there are at least 2 other variants of this Godzilla in his powered up forms. I never saw Rodan out in the world. I'm actually kind of interested in what that one looks like, because I saw Mothra. I wasn't really impressed with it. It's mostly wings, which makes sense, but it just doesn't look really good as a figure to me. But I never saw Rodan, so if I ever catch that one, I might grab that one. Interesting thing about this box is the front is a door, and you open it up, and you can just see Godzilla inside, as well as this kind of pretty nice, again, photograph of the toy itself, so you can get a really idea of what you're getting. But you can just kind of see the toy here in the window, which is, in my opinion, pretty slick. As you can see, its tail is in 2 pieces because they couldn't fit all 12 inches of it in this box, so we're going to see how tricky it is to put that together. So let's get to opening this thing. So I open it up, and it comes with instructions on how to open it. It appears to want me to dunk the tail in a cup of warm water, I assume to soften it up, and then push it in, because as you can see, the tail has this ball joint here, which presumably goes in this hole here. Let's see if... Nope. All right, I'm gonna have to do the hot water thing. So I'm going to pause the video and then resume it. I'll be right back. And we're back. So I got a cup of warm water. I hope warm water is good enough, because unfortunately my tap does not run as hot as I'd like. So we're gonna let that sit there for a second, and then we're gonna try and push it in again. And then we'll talk more about this big boy right here, because he is big. Well, he's not that big. That's one thing about this figure, but we'll talk about that in one moment, because we're coming up on 20 seconds here. So let's see if this works as advertised. Yeah, I think it went in. Yeah. Yeah, it's in. All right. All right, let's get this out of here. That was a little wet. All right, so as advertised, he's about 12 inches from snout to tail, which isn't as impressive as being 12 inches tall, but you know, you take what you can get. So right off the bat, he's very accurate to the source. He looks just like the character from the movie, which is what I want. He's very accurate. He's got the big thunder legs. Boom, boom, boom. Tiny, tiny head. But anyway, let's see how articulate this guy is. So his tail has got like a ton of different sections. It's not super posable in the up and down, but it like twists around, so you can do a few things with it. I kind of wish it had a little bit more left and right action, because it does take up a lot of space. But you can do a few things with it. It's where a lot of the articulation on the box came from, I guess. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 or 7 articulated sections there. And then here in the arms, he can rotate all the way around, but yes, he can rotate up and down. Of course, Godzilla has very stubby arms, so there's not a ton you can do with the arms. Leg-wise, his legs kind of jawn out. They rotate at the knees, at the foot. He's got hip rotation, although not a lot of twist. Gotta say, I love how he looks, but a lot of the articulation is, I mean, it's a bit cosmetic. It's basically, he doesn't have a lot of mobility because he is just a big slab of meat, which makes sense because Godzilla isn't the most flexible character in fiction, after all. At the same time, I'm glad he has what he has, because you can do kind of goofy looking poses like this. And of course, you can use his tail some to like prop him up if you want to make him a bit taller, a bit. So yeah, you can do some kind of cool things with him, but he definitely looks like the movie, like straight out of it. And I gotta really appreciate the detail in the sculpt. So this is a pretty cool figure. I gotta say it's worth the $30 I paid for it. In terms of the paint job, which is very good, because if you look real close, you'll see he's got scale in his mold, and he's been like brush painted, so that he has kind of a mix of gray, very light gray in the crevices, but dark gray on the scales. So he looks really good in good lighting. I really love how this figure looks. Now for comparison though, here's Snake Eyes from a previous video. As you can tell, Godzilla here is barely taller than a standard 6-inch action figure from foot to head. So the 12-inch thing is pretty cool in terms of length for the tail, but in height, you know, he's pretty standard action figure size, which is cool. I mean, I wish he stood maybe a head taller, but you can't really be picky about this. You don't always get a lot of choice. This is definitely one of the best looking Godzilla figures I've ever seen, and he's definitely the most mobile. Historically, most of your Godzilla action figures are chunks of plastic with almost zero articulation. So this is cool. It kind of sucks that NECA lost the license, because NECA does good work at good prices. In my experience, this is my first NECA figure, but I have looked at a lot of them. They did a couple of Ninja Turtle figures a few years back that I'm trying to track down. Unfortunately, they're long out of production, so finding them is going to be hard. But for now, this was NECA's Monsterverse Godzilla as part of their, I guess this is the 65th anniversary collection. I don't think I'll be getting any of the other Godzillas in this line, but I can probably, if they're all in this similar build quality, I can recommend any of them if you're a Godzilla fan. So thanks for watching.